What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Real Talks Podcast. I am with my guy, Miguel Dela Roca. What's up, homie? Welcome
What's
back,
up? What's
bro.
up?
Welcome
Hey,
back, first of all, man. How you
yeah,
doing?
dude. Good, man. We tried to do this a couple months ago back in November. I was the business was in a totally different spot, and
Yeah,
I'm stoked to be back on here because a lot's changed just in the last like 2 months of that. So
that's
doing good,
awesome.
man. Just working hard every day. So can't
Re-
complain.
Really, really cool. I did use a couple of clips from that recording, which we weren't able to complete because of technical difficulties. But
Hmm.
essentially, I just want you to introduce yourself to our audience and kind of go over the benefits of the services that you provide, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's up, guys? I go by Miggle. Instagram's Motive Miggle. If this is your first time seeing me, essentially what I've been doing is coming up since 2019. I've been studying the whole funding game.
Mm.
When it comes to getting 0% interest business credit cards. So back in 2019, I was working a really kick-ass job, lost it. I was sleeping from couch to couch for a little bit
Mm.
until I got back on my feet, started working a crappy 9 to 5 job I hated. And just kind of during that time, I knew I was like, dude, I'm going to be here for 1 year tops. I'm going to learn something. I know I'm going to start a business. I don't know what it is going to be yet, but I know I need to start this. And I was just like, okay, let me start investing and learning how to get 0% interest business credit. What is
Wow.
this?
Yeah.
Um, I knew I would need funding for the business. So I was just like, all right, let's start doing that. So that was kind of my background. Been studying it for the last 5 years. The last 3 years of that, I actually been part of one of the largest credit stacking programs.
Hmm.
And I've been the number one salesperson at that company for the last 2 years in a row. So I'd
Nice.
say I know a couple things about credit, not just the sales side, but actually for myself, I've gotten over 300K in funding that I've used for real estate deals like Airbnb and
Yeah.
fix and flips. So it really kind of came from me being a need that it was something I personally needed. And then after seeing the results of it, I got really addicted to the idea. I was like, dude, I could get so much funding from bank to bank at 0%, invest
Wow.
that into an asset like real estate where I could pay it back after a year, 2, 3, 4 years, or whatever. And now, long story short, um, towards the end of 2023, I started my own coaching program. I took what I learned from the other coaching program that I've been a part of.
Right.
I've invested into multiple other programs, and I'm kind of taken the best parts of everything. And I've noticed where some of these bigger companies fall short is just the lack of service. Just sometimes
Right.
companies
Right.
get too big to where they can't provide that one-on-oneness.
Correct.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm not necessarily trying to be like the next big credit guy. Like I just I still want to keep doing real estate, but I know
Yeah.
there's money to be made here because I keep having people asking me for my time, and I would get people funding for free, and then I was like, dude, I should start getting paid for this.
Right.
Is
Right.
starting to become time consuming, and um, basically 4 months of doing that didn't make jack shit until like November, December. Contracted my first 35K under contract, and then
Heck
this is my
yes.
first month of collecting 10K in revenue. So
Super
things are
cool,
starting to
bro.
kick off. Yeah, yeah. When we
Congratulations,
started
man.
talking in November, I hadn't made shit yet. So
Right.
it's awesome to
It.
start seeing things come together.
I mean, that's we all start from somewhere, right? And that's pretty cool that within a little bit amount of time that you've invested into this, you're already starting to see the positive outcomes of what you do as far as the services that you provide. But uh
Hmm.
quick thing, like what got you into credit funding? Like what really got you so interested in that to where this now became a passion for you?
Yeah. I mean, just kind of a number of things. Like one, just when I was broke, like literally like homeless, I was in a spot where I was just like, this fucking sucks.
Yeah.
I was like so depressed because like basically I used to work for like a music festival company. We'd throw like
Mm.
fat like music events for college students. So there's like a lot of like party lifestyle type of thing. And back in that day, I was like very much about that type of
Right.
lifestyle. My parents were telling me, you got to be careful because like, it's a slippery slope. And I slipped on that slope, and I was so ashamed to go back to my parents' house and tell them, "Hey, I lost this job. I don't have money. I'm homeless." And in that like lowest of lows was when I realized I was like, dude, fuck this. I will never be like the idea of being poor. I fucking hate it. Like I will never
Right.
like that's like my biggest fear. Like I'm afraid to let myself ever get back into the point where I feel so vulnerable, so sorry for myself. Like I can't even take care of myself. Like if I
Mm.
had like a family or something, like knowing that I couldn't take care of it. So that's what kind of pushed me more into like developing myself into hiring coaches. I was
Yeah.
always looking at YouTube videos, reading books, but I never had spent, 5, 10, 15K on a single program. But I was just like,
Right.
dude, like once I started working that 9 to 5 job that I hated, I was like, all right, I'm gonna save this money. I'm gonna invest it into something that I think is gonna make me a ton of money. And that was like the credit side of things because it
Yeah.
helped me test out different businesses. I failed at a bunch of businesses too. So I'm not perfect, but um, I've messed up plenty of times to where, hopefully my experience can kind of, you know, help you guys avoid some of those pitfalls. But once I started like actually implementing it myself and seeing
Mm.
that it worked,
Right.
I that's what motivated me. I was like, dude, this is a business, dude. Like everybody needs funding. Like it doesn't
Oh,
matter
right.
if you're doing e-commerce, coaching, real estate. Like I always tell people, like there's a million and one ways of making money. However, if you don't have the funding to start it,
Yeah.
then nobody gives a shit. It's just an idea in your head and it's a lost opportunity because it's just like what if I need like let's say I'm buying doing a fix and flip. The fix and
Right.
flip I have right now put 75K down from 0% business credit.
Hmm.
Most Americans don't have any savings, let alone like
Right.
5, 10, 20K,
Right.
let alone 75K. And what are you going to do? Wait all that time to save? You're not going to save it. The other
Right.
option too is in terms of funding, it's either you save the money or you go for a high interest loan or you give up equity. And those were all things I wasn't down to do. And when I
Right.
learned about 0% business credit, basically banks still have these intro periods where they'll give you 0% for like 6, 9, 12 months at a time, 18 months at a time. And by the time you have to pay that back, the idea is that asset would have produced enough money to where
Right.
you can pay back the banks. And
Right.
kind of something cool I teach in my program is I teach people how to extend the 0% terms for multiple years through either a
Wow.
0% balance transfer card or there's ways of pulling the cash from the cards. So let's say you borrow 50K from Chase, you don't
Yeah.
get that ROI within a year, pass it off to a 0% balance transfer card or open up another card and pay it from the cash from that. Now you're buying yourself
Mm.
2, 3, 4, 5 years to pay it back and you're never paying any interest. So it makes it
Wow.
things as low risk as possible as like an investor.
Wow, bro, that's amazing, man. And when I started my own recruiting agency at the end of 2021,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know a lot about entrepreneurship, business credit, and all that stuff. I
Mm-hmm.
basically bootstrapped everything. I sold a
Oh,
property,
okay.
a car, to get the money I needed to get started. I hired a coach
Mm-hmm.
as well at the time because I knew I
Was it with
needed.
10X or was that a different
No,
coach?
no, and a different coach. So
Okay, cool.
at first, I specifically kind of like what you're probably doing is that you hired probably coaches in the credit funding space, right? So essentially,
Exactly. Of
I did exactly the same thing. I didn't want to do it on my own, where I'm
course.
there's a lot of trial and errors and just a lot of failures if you
Mm-hmm.
don't know what you're doing, right? I'm good
Exactly.
in the recruiting side of things. I've done that and led recruiting teams to success, but just not as my own business. So
Yeah.
I said, you know what, I need to hire somebody, and I said I needed the $10,000 to just you know pay for this 6 month coaching program,
Mm-hmm.
and I basically learned everything that I needed to learn, how the best practices, the right tools to leverage, and how to attract
Mm-hmm.
the proper client, and all of those other things. And within 3 months, I made $130,000, and I'm like,
That's freaking
you know,
crazy.
it's at first I was like, wow, this is crazy, but the industry, the niche I'm in, that's easy to make, and that's
Hmm.
how my second year we hit 7 figures. And
That's insane.
if I did not hire coaches or paid for these education, I
Hmm.
I wouldn't be as successful as fast as I did as a
Yeah.
trainer. So,
And
um,
I think that's a big thing to say just because, like, I know when I first, this was like during COVID and stuff, but like before I got into the whole, like, investing into online
right,
coaches to help better myself, like, I think there's just this really bad stigma that needs to be addressed is, there's a ton of pieces of shit out there who's just out there scamming. And
fake
that's just a
gurus,
sad, yeah,
right,
fake gurus. And that's just like the sad reality is it is out there.
right,
However, there are also some people who have that track record, the experience, the wins, where they're like, dude, like, if I know this, like, it's already in my head. Why would I not monetize it? Sometimes people
right,
think very negatively, like, oh, if this person already has a system, why would he sell it? Because it's kind of more from an abundant mindset, and it's just
right,
like also from the consumer perspective too, it's kind of like, what's the other option?
right.
No millionaire is just gonna come up to you and be like, "Hey, let me teach you for free." They want to be
No,
compensated fairly.
no,
Um,
their time is
yeah,
very, very important, right?
yeah. So
And yeah,
yeah, you just gotta. I think with the coaching stuff, like there, it gets a bad rap for it, but at the end of the day, like if you want somebody to tell you exactly, hey Jay, this is exactly what you need to do. Here that
right,
like I'm gonna help you, like an issue comes up, I'm gonna troubleshoot this for you
right.
versus you going onto YouTube and
Trying to learn it on your own. It's-
yeah, because you're gonna look at like five different, like for example, I'm doing credit and like funding. You're gonna
Right,
listen to five different gurus tell you five different things, and most of the time, they're gonna gatekeep. They're not gonna tell you exactly step by step the scripts of what to say, what to put on the applications, and because they're promoting their program, which
right.
isn't a bad thing. If they already invested all the time, money, and energy to learn it, I don't see anything wrong with people wanting to monetize their knowledge because the same thing
No,
with
I
school,
mean,
dude. Like,
exactly.
yeah,
I I
yeah,
I'm 100% on that, and I love that because you're also doing the coaching piece, and
hmm,
helping others like learn those foundational information that even after they're done working with you, they can continue to be successful and apply this type of
exactly.
knowledge. Whereas it's not
Yeah,
necessarily just a DFY, like a done for you. That's
hmm,
cool too, but I like learning the foundational stuff so where
hmm,
I can move forward after the agreement, the coaching mentorship agreement, and then be able to
hmm,
continuously apply that to myself and my
exactly.
business. You know,
Because you
so
don't want to be too reliant on somebody else too, and like,
no, because yeah,
yeah, because like in this space that I'm into, there's two
right,
types of offers, right? There's done for you where they just do everything for you, pretty self-explanatory.
which is
They
good. Yeah,
typically,
yeah,
yeah,
I'm
they'll
listening.
charge
Yeah, yeah,
like 10% commission on
right,
whatever they get you. However, that's not 0% funding, that's 10% funding.
right,
And you're gonna have to keep relying on somebody else year after year, and you're gonna end up paying more in the long run. Um,
yeah,
wi-
and
wi-
to piggyback on that, that's exactly what's going on right now with one. Like, I know marketing, but I don't have the
mhm,
time to do all of
to
the
learn it.
marketing stuff, right?
Yeah.
I no, I
Yeah.
I know marketing, I learned it. I just don't have the time to do all of the things, how to build a funnel, how to do the
Hmm.
advertising. So what I did was I ended up hiring a marketing agency which I'm paying month to month
Nice.
retainer,
Hell
and
yeah.
then obviously at the same time there's like the paid ads that ad spend that I
Hmm.
have to do, but once I'm done working with this marketing agency, like it stops. Like I don't know how to
Hmm.
build a funnel myself. I don't know how to.
Yeah.
I can figure it out, but it's gonna take some time. And for me, my time is I want to use it to where I'm generating more more revenue for the
Yeah.
business. But
And doing the things that are like the money making and like the strengths that you have too. And that's why done for you, like any service, it's good if you don't have the time or don't
right,
want to learn it.
right,
Um, Kind of with the program I have, it's very unique because I take a teach a man to fish approach.
uh
This
huh,
isn't just like, hey, here's a bunch of course modules. No, go find for yourself or just go talk to people in the group chat or community.
yeah,
Because I actually have like like a handful of students in my program right now who have come from, I don't want to say the names just because I don't believe in like
Right.
saying anything bad about
No, yeah.
competition, but
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I love that too. Yeah,
um,
me too.
but they've came from like very bit like
Big
well-known people in my space who they come in and they're like yeah, they try to upsell me like I already paid the high ticket cost. They're like it felt like they weren't giving me the full details, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Like, how are you guys charging people this and like they're not getting results, and then you have the balls
to
to
ask
ask them
them.
for more money? Like,
Right.
that blows my mind, dude.
That's
So
what happens sometimes when a bigger team, have that. There's no. Uh, you're probably right now. You're doing a lot of one-on-one, right,
yeah.
coaching. Yeah.
hmm So
Yeah.
I'm doing a lot of one-on-ones. It doesn't just like kind of the modules, those are the foundations. Everything has like a step-by-step like written piece to it, like
Yeah.
SOPs. But really the like I actually post a lot of my I actually just made a free mini course but
Oh,
um on it, but like I literally post like all my videos on YouTube for free. And
dope.
I'm creating like the stuff that I charge five, six, seven, $8,000 for. I'm putting it out for free
Hmm.
because I want to build trust with people, and they're gonna see those videos like, wow, Miggle was very like literally step by step with this. Like you kind of have to be a retard to not like follow this
That's
along,
it.
right? Yeah. Some of this stuff though, like that are like is really high value stuff. I might not like share it, especially like important contacts. You got to pay for it, but like I think the most important thing that kind of differs is, it's not just a coaching program where you get a login or you're talking with the community. You're
Yeah.
working directly with the coach,
Right.
and I think that's where most of the value is. It's not even just the videos. It's like I said, having somebody who's going to tell you exactly what to do for your specific
Right.
situation, and having somebody if you mess up or something that doesn't go according to plan, having somebody who's invested in saying like, "Hey, all right, let's troubleshoot. This went this way. Let's go that way."
Right.
And I think that's kind of the take that I'm going at it. That most people, especially if these much bigger influencers, they don't have the time for it, which I totally get.
Right. Right.
Um,
Exactly.
but for me, like this, I like this because I've been doing it for the last year. But like, that's not the only place I'm getting my money. It's also real estate. So
Mm.
for me, I'm like I want to make sure when I'm working with people, they're easy to work with. They want to learn. They could work hard. Just because at the end of the day, I don't want to be connecting with somebody every
Right.
week who doesn't have their heart into it or is just going to be like, I'm like dragging their hair across the floor. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's dope, man. And kind of going back to, the credit side of things as well, right? And I
hmm
definitely want to touch base on the coaching more so because I truly believe in coaches and mentors to,
Yeah,
to help
definitely.
you. And we're both coaches, we're both mentors. You're in the credit,
hmm
funding niche, and I'm in the business side, a complete
hmm
business side, right? Um,
Yeah.
and but one of the things that stats, like there's 31.5 small businesses only in the United States alone, and
hmm
every month there's new business owners and new LLCs are being filed. So that means that there's
hmm
new businesses are growing, are being born
hmm
every single month. And a lot of those businesses most likely don't have the experience to
hmm
find ways to get credit right off the bat, not knowing exactly
hmm
how to do it. I didn't. I wish I know what I know now. Whereas I could have leveraged credit funding, business credit when I first started. So I didn't have to come
hmm
out of pocket, but
Yeah.
for me, I was very thankful because everything worked out fine. But most people, it doesn't work out that way, right? But um,
Yeah.
a lot of people also shut down. One of the reasons why a lot of businesses fail is, for one, the lack of product or service demand for what they do.
hmm
The number two is a lack of having the great people that's working with you to help you scale the business and grow it. And the third
Definitely.
one is the lack of funding.
Exactly.
Those are the top three things that
hmm
most uh, are the most reason why businesses fail. And so,
Yeah.
what you deliver, what you provide, is something that's really, really needed.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate you seeing that because, like, kind of
Hmm.
mentioned it earlier, right? Like, if you don't have the funding, nobody gives a crap about your idea because it's not a product or service. You don't have
Right.
the people that can deliver on that promise. And kind of I tell people this all the time, especially like kind of like because I'm more focused on funding for real estate investors just
Yeah.
because that's what I do. But
Right.
you can implement it to any business.
Right.
But I always tell like people like, look, like you choose your financial vehicle. You know, real estate for me, I see that as the Ferrari. You could do some other business model that might be
Yeah.
more like the Toyota Camry. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what vehicle you're driving as much just because it's going to get you from point A to point B. Some might take
Right.
a little bit longer, some are faster than others. But the important thing is that you choose a financial vehicle. And for me, I've chosen real estate because I've tried so many other things like e-commerce, failed it. Into other different business models. And I was like, okay, real estate seems like the most safe because this is the most millionaires have been made from real estate. So I'm going to go that way.
Right. Right.
And now, how I like to see it is the funding is like the gasoline, right?
Mm.
If you
Yeah.
have a vehicle, you need gasoline to make it run. The more gasoline you have, the faster and further it's going to go.
Correct.
So the whole like metaphor is, if I have a shit ton of gasoline and I'm pumping it into this Ferrari, I'm going to hit that seven-figure roadmap
Hmm.
much sooner than somebody who's just literally doesn't have any gasoline at all. Because like
Right.
again, you could have the Ferrari of financial vehicles, but if you don't have the funding, then that Ferrari is just going to sit in the garage all day collecting up dust.
Yeah.
So that's what I always try to express to people because they're like, oh, sometimes like I don't really need the funding right now. I just heard about business credit and like I might need it in a month or 2 months or something like that. And I'm like, no, like that's more the reason why you need to know now because there's always going to be real estate deals out there that like
Yeah.
that is inevitable. However, I hear this so often that people are like, oh, like my all my cash, all my savings is in another property or all my money's tied up in this other investment. I can't or I got to
Right.
wait the time to liquidate it, all this and that.
Yeah.
And there's a deal out there where, they're going to make 100K off of it. And people don't think about that opportunity cost by me not having like available funds now means
Right.
I'm going to lose out on deals because there's always going to be deals. There's always going to be a motivated seller. You got to be a motivated buyer that's prepared to take
Right.
action on that. And that's how I got the duplex I got was like, yeah, they were trying to sell it for like 140, 160, something like that. We
Yeah.
talked them down to 112, and this was like the day before they were going to put it on the MLS where everyone could make offers.
Right.
And we just came in. I was just like, hey, I got this cash up front. We're going to use the rest of it from like a hard money lender or whatever.
Yeah.
So we were able to secure the deal before anybody else could. So
Yeah. I
that's
love
just
that.
kind of like that's kind of the power of having that sort of funding just laying around at your fingertips because literally once you know how to do this you could easily get 50 100K within just like 1 or 2 weeks of applying
Yeah.
for cards once you really understand the whole 0% funding formula.
Yeah. Are you for the credit funding side, are you is it more like on the business credit funding or personal? Like what do you focus in or both?
Yeah, well, what sells is the 0% business credit. Like that's sexy and what sells like when I'm running ads. But I help
Yeah.
out with everything. Um, before we could even get into business credit, you still need to have personal credit funding. You need to have at least a 700 plus credit score. You want to
Hmm.
have a clean profile, not too many hard inquiries. You want to have at least three personal credit cards with an average of 10K per card. So you have
Yeah.
like high comparable credit limits. So you look trustworthy to the bankers. Um, and kind of where I come in, like my whole strategy is I focus on what's called a no doc check approval, which
Mm.
basically means if you already know what the bank's underwriting requirements are,
Right.
you have the connections with high level bankers. These are called relationship managers
Right.
who will essentially represent your business to the underwriting team and kind of vouch for you to help you get the maximum limit. Because the way they work is they actually get paid a commission from the banks based off of how
Mm.
much they get you approved for. So it's
Oh,
in their
okay.
best interest to get you the maximum funding. However, the only way to work with them is you need to already know what their underwriting requirements are and have somebody on the inside who can connect you. So if you
There you
have
go.
those connections, right, like, your network is your net worth and they're going
Right.
to open up doors for you.
Right.
If you know the exact scripts of what to tell the banks to show them, hey, I'm a trustworthy business owner, and you know
Right.
the exact data points of what to copy and paste on the application, you're
Yeah.
able to get approved with what's called a no doc check approval, which
Mm.
basically means the banks, they don't ask for bank statements, they don't ask for tax documents or any of that because you're not raising any red flags. And basically, you're still able to get approved even if the income's relatively new, even if your personal income's low, and you don't even have to have business revenue established yet, which is a crazy thing because once you just understand the whole banking system, it's all a
Yeah.
game. And as long as you know the rules to that game, which rules matter most to the banks, which ones you can kind of bend and break to work in your favor, you're going to come out on top every time. Because back in 2022 or towards the end of 2021, when I started my Airbnb business,
Yeah.
I was my LLC was only a month and a half old. I had to move
Wow.
back to my parents' house, was making 2K a month because my business my other business failed
Hmm.
and I didn't have any business revenue, obviously, since it was a new business. But I still applied for a 25 and a 50K card in a matter of weeks of each other and still got approved. Where most
Wow.
people, they're like, what the hell? I have an 850 score, this business, that business, blah, blah, blah. And
Right.
I'm still getting denied or only getting like 5K limits. And, again, it's not about what you know, it's who you know, and just
All
knowing
of
kind of
that.
the ins and outs of everything. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember, like I said, I didn't know how like all of the nuances and everything else. I didn't know anybody. I don't have relationships with the bank other than maybe
Hmm.
Federal Credit Union because I've been using them for over 20 years,
Hmm.
essentially like all my adult life. But
Yeah.
um, what I was gonna say too is that uh, every time I had asked for applied for a credit, like a business credit and all that stuff, I had to show
Hmm.
my business bank account and all of that stuff to prove it.
Hmm.
And I didn't know about these no doc requirement stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
I have a pretty good amount total. Actually, I know it's over 150K, but it's
Hmm.
all through trial and error. And even before when I first started, I've been denied by certain banks. I'm like, what? Like,
Yeah.
because I
You're like,
do
what am I doing?
no, because I'm like, I have an 820, and all of that
Yeah.
stuff. Like, maintain it. I've been always been responsible financially and everything else. And
Hmm.
like, I was like, why am I
What am
getting
I doing
denied?
wrong?
Right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so if like I said, if I was to go back again, and maybe even now, if I need more funding, to let's say launch new businesses and all of that
Dude,
stuff,
let
I'll
me
definitely
know.
yeah,
I'd be happy to help out.
I'll
I've been,
definitely
like I said, I've been
leverage.
doing it for years.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's like a big mistake that I hear from people. They're like,
Hmm.
I'll have people like, oh, why would I pay you five, six, seven, $8,000 to learn this if I could just do it on my own? My business is already doing well. Like I have
Right.
like an 850 FICO score. Like I'm I'm always like, whenever I hear that, I'm like, I'm not like thirsty to get new clients. Like, if you think
Right.
you could do it on your own, like, go do it. Because then yeah, like, why would you pay me like all that
Right.
money if you don't need to? But like, in my head, I'm already know, like, I guarantee you, like, it's not as simple as you think it is. Because
Right.
like, you could have an 850 score and still get denied and get low limits. Like, the credit
Yeah.
score actually, it doesn't mean shit to the banks.
Right.
Really, all it does is get your foot in the door with the banks to at least consider you. And ideally,
Right.
they just want you to be at least a 700 and up, and that's it.
Yeah.
But an 850 is not going to guarantee you getting approved, let alone these 25, 50, 60, 75K approvals.
Right.
What does is knowing all the other back end things that they're looking for, having the right connections, knowing what to say, what to put on the applications. Because these two things that banks care about most, they want to know, one, do we think Jay is a trustworthy borrower? And
Hmm.
number two, do we think his business is attractive enough to lend to?
Right.
And to answer that first question, are you a trustworthy borrower? They're looking at credit score and credit profile. To
Hmm.
answer the second question, is your business attractive enough to lend to? They're looking at how you're applying. So, are you applying online or going through a relationship manager?
Right.
And they're looking at how you're filling out the applications. There's certain data points that you can put on there to where, you know, they're going to give you like an automatic approval. They're not going to ask for any docs, just by knowing exactly how to position and show yourself to the banks, and
Yeah.
that's exactly what I help people out with. So
That's
it's
amazing, man.
yeah.
Um, Follow up question to that. So as far as the criteria requirements, at least a 700 FICO
Hmm.
score, right? 720 probably. And
Yeah.
does credit utilization like matters a lot in regards to like your
Yeah.
credit? It's like where do you want
Definitely.
it? Where do you want it to be? Like under what 10-20% or
30% is the max when it comes to credit utilization. So, let's say you have three credit cards, and it's not the overall utilization between all your cards. Typically, if we're going to go get funding, we don't want one card maxed out and then
right
the other one's clear, but it says 30% total. Like you want 30% per card.
per card? Gotcha.
Um, yeah, before you apply, because this kind of goes back to the requirements, not just credit score, it's credit profile. So
Mm,
they want to see you being trusted with at least a couple of personal credit cards with high limits, with low utilization, perfect payment history, at least 3 to 5 years of average credit age, just because if they see that, they're like, okay, Jay, we could trust him. He's got solid limits. But like, if your comparable credit limits, like let's say you only have two cards,
yeah.
1 year total credit age with only like $500 a piece, like there's no way in hell, you know, Chase
Yep.
Bank is going to trust you with a 50K card if people aren't even trusting you with 5K, on the personal
Yeah.
side. You know what I mean? So, um, you got to
That.
be kind of like strategic with it. And what I love most that there's like three main things that is really cool with the business credit thing that most people don't know.
Uh-huh.
And the first one is with business credit, you're able to get much higher limits than you typically would on the personal side. And
Right.
the reason being is because the banks know it's for an asset, it's a business that's going to pay itself off. So they're a little bit more risk tolerant to, or yeah, risk averse, whatever. They aren't as risky to lend out to because they know you're not just going to go buy a purse or some shoes or something like that. They know it's
Yeah.
going to an investment that's going to pay it off. Number
Gotcha.
two is with business credit cards, they don't report the utilization. So
Mm,
with personal credit cards, if you max those cards out, nobody's going to want to lend to you because your score is going to go down. But with
right. Right.
business credit, they encourage you to max those cards out because again, they know it's going to go towards an investment, so they don't care
Yeah.
about utilization.
I see.
Then the third thing is with business credit cards, you could wipe off those hard inquiries after you get approved and apply for even more funding after, just because
Wow.
typically, yeah, if a bank sees you have too many inquiries, they're gonna be like, oh, Jay's money hungry.
Fishing.
He's
Yeah.
already, he's already got all these uh, other debt that he got from somebody else. But like banks can't like Chase Bank can't see how much Bank of America gave you. And then on top
Gotcha.
of that, they can't see the utilization, they can't see the credit limits from other banks, and you can wipe off those hard inquiries that allows you to keep applying for more and more funding. And there's just so many like little hacks, tips and
Yeah.
tricks and like little loopholes you can do with credit, and that's always what's kind of fascinating with me is just
Right.
like I was like, "Holy shit, dude. I didn't I had no idea you could do this." So,
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like this, like even for me, I've been in business for 2+ years successfully, but on the
mhm,
credit side of things, like I'm so clueless other than what my friends like you are educating me on these kind of things, and even
mhm,
then, like I wouldn't even like now, like I wouldn't even attempt if I needed more business credit. I'd rather work with somebody that's super good at this already that can help me because in the past, like I said, like I was doing good as far as the business revenue and as well as like my
mhm.
credit, but I was like when I applied, I remember I applied for a $200,000 like business credit, not
Oh,
knowing like
okay.
what I needed to do. Right,
Yeah, you're like, I think I'll get it. Like,
I was like, yeah, I think I'm good, like. But then
yeah,
I was, to my surprise, I got denied.
yeah.
Not necessarily denied, but I think they gave me like a lower one, and I said,
Hmm.
no, it's okay because
Yeah.
I wanted the big a big one. So right now I've been just kind of in limbo and everything else. But
Hmm.
yeah, I think it's definitely a great way if you want a better rate of success. Get with a coach like yourself, to help.
Yeah. Yeah, thank
So
you. And that's kind of like the thing too. Like I have clients right now who like I always tell people like, look, if you think you could go do this, go try it. Like, and if you're successful, fuck yeah, good job, dude.
right,
But I've told this to somebody else. Like, I was on a sales call and his objection was just like, whoa, five, six, seven, $8,000. That's a lot. Like, I could just go learn this on myself. And I was like, okay,
What's a lot like?
but
What's a lot like? Relatively,
yeah,
like I get it
to
though. Yeah, I get it, man.
yeah,
If you think small, you're gonna think $5,000 is a lot, right?
yeah.
And
But
you
at the
don't.
end of the
Yeah,
day, as long as it makes itself back, who cares? And then
no,
some. Cause
a hundred
yeah,
percent, 100%, and that's what I encourage people who's watching this. I encourage you to stop thinking small. Like everything that you
yeah,
spend on your business, whether it's hiring for a sales coach, a marketing, advisor, or a business
hmm
advisor like myself, or a credit funding coach like Miguel, like all of these, as long as you're gonna be able to turn it into a profit or get your
yeah. You're as long
ROI
as you get the
back,
ROI, who gives a
then
shit?
whether it's 5,000, 10,000, $20,000, I'd pay $25,000 to
To make a
learn
hundred K. You
exact
know?
or more. Yeah, like
Yeah,
I'm talking about,
exactly.
like
I would pay 25 to make 30K. Like, who gives a shit? I made 5K. Like,
well, I
you
mean,
know,
so that's on the initial piece, but the things that you learn is a lifetime skills and knowledge
exactly,
that
exactly.
that you in return can definitely leverage to help others out, for
hmm
free or whatnot. So it's
Yeah,
certainly it's a win-win. So I encourage you guys, if you're watching this, stop thinking small. $5,000, to be honest, is not a lot of money. Invest in
yeah.
yourself, in your business, and
Buy yourself some time back, you know.
exactly.
Because
So
I was telling that guy, I was just like, well, yeah, I mean, isn't that why we're on the coaching call? Like, you tried this, you failed, like, you already
right,
wasted all the time, you screwed up. And I was just like, look, like, the same could go for, anyone could go be a doctor, but are you going to fucking do it? You're not going to go to the library and study every book, go on
right,
YouTube, read every video. Like, the information's out there, but what people don't understand is there's also information overload to where you don't take any action at all. So if you could
absolutely,
just have somebody tell you, hey, here's what you do and here's what you don't do exactly to your tailored situation,
right,
then you're going to see the success. You're not going to mess up and you'll be able to keep the ball rolling, keep getting into more deals, blow up your business, or at least start it,
yeah.
and get things going.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, like I said, perfect example. That same situation scenario that I gave you about myself. When I first bought the franchise with 10x to become a 10x
hmm
business advisor, I spent a lot of money, or even
hmm
to spend to buy the franchise itself. That's why I was like, I'm looking for, instead of using my own money, I said, let me get a business credit. And what I did was I ended up watching some online videos. I'm like,
hmm
cool, sounds simple enough. And yeah, like, and I ended up applying. I'm like, yeah. But I ended up, luckily for me, I mean, I create revenue. I was able
hmm
to pay over $170,000 of franchise fees and everything else. But it would have been nice if I kept that money, like in
hmm
my, in other investment, because
Yeah.
I had to shuffle things around. But if I didn't have that money reserved, like I wouldn't be able to get this business partnership with Grant Cardone, and
hmm
yeah, I wish I just would have just hired a coach for that one, and then I would have gotten approved for that, and
Immediately. Yeah.
yeah, I think, yeah, because now I pay for coaches on every single thing I do.
Yeah.
When I wrote my book, I'd never written a book. I said I'm gonna pay for a business, not a business
There
coach,
you
but
go. Hell yeah.
a book coach, like an author coach, to help me structure it, how to get, get everything started, all the way to launch and everything else.
That's so
Um,
sick. Yeah.
yeah, I believe in coaching and mentorship. Everything that I do now, if I want to start a new venture or whatnot, I'm gonna pay for a coach, right?
Yeah, because
That's my personal belief.
I ain't going on YouTube all damn day. But like, and a lot of people are in such a broke mindset where they're like, I'm just gonna learn it on my own. Like, there's too many scams, and yes, there are some people who are out there scamming. But I mean, if you do your due diligence enough, you're
Right,
gonna be able to protect yourself. You put it on a credit card, and if the person doesn't, live up
right,
to what was promised, you could always just charge it back. So
right.
there's really no risk, and kind of like at least with my program, I try to make it as no brainer as possible with people. I'm like, look, here's what you get in the program. As long as you can follow, as long as you're showing up to the one on ones and doing like following directions, you're going to see results.
Yeah,
And I guarantee a minimum of at least 100K on the funding. Like that's the very minimum I'll
yeah,
get you, or else I'll keep working with you until we get there. Like I want to keep that promise, and I want to have testimonials and results I can
Right.
show off at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people just get scared from it. And what ends up happening is if you go the lone wolf route with no guidance, what always ends, this happens every time, is people, they'll fuck up multiple times, and they'll just come to the conclusion, this doesn't work. But
Right.
it's you don't work. You didn't
Right.
invest the time, money, and energy to get like the right resources. And obviously, if you're going through the wrong resources, you could do everything right, but the information might be wrong. Therefore, you're gonna
Right.
fuck up no matter how hard you work. So
Right.
as invested as you are into a coach, they theoretically most of them should be. I know there's some that aren't the most ethical, but like as long as you're investing into somebody else, it's gonna go both ways. But if
Right.
you're not, putting any skin in the game, what may like, and this is just kind of from like a spiritual aspect, if you're not willing to take risk or put any sort of skin in the game, what
Hmm.
makes you think God, the universe, whatever you believe in, is going to reward you for you being a pussy?
Right.
You're not being serious, you're not
Right.
working hard. And if the people who pay attention. And I've
Hmm.
worked with people, I've done this and made the mistake when I was first starting off, was like, hey, I'll let you into the program absolutely free. Just pay me with the funding I get you. And, it got people in.
Yeah.
However, what I find out is I'm the one fucking checking up on them more than they're asking me questions because I
Yeah.
want to get paid.
Right.
Like I'm
Right.
like, do the fucking application, asshole. Like, come on, man. Like, you're not holding your end of the bargain.
Yeah.
So, you know, so it's all about the energy you put in, and sometimes you really got to burn the boat. If you
Right.
don't burn the boat, you're still in that half in, half out. This doesn't even work mindset. I'm not really going to take any action, and kind of like what you said, anything I do moving forward, I'm just going to hire a coach. Like when I
Right.
started this coaching program, I've been thinking about it for years, and I was just like, dude, fuck it. Here's $10,000. I'm boom. I'm in it. I don't even exactly know what I'm gonna do or how it's gonna work, but I know I want to do this, and I'm gonna burn the boats. Like here's $10,000. I got to
Right.
make it work.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah.
It's funny, like you said that. Like I was talking about my other friend who I just interviewed the other day, Russell.
Hmm.
He didn't have $40,000 in the business
Hmm.
at the time, and basically he said after attending a 10x business summit, I said, you know what, I already seen enough to make a decision. Now I just got to figure out how I'm going to get that $40,000. At the time he
Hmm.
said, he wasn't sure how to get that money, but he said he knew the opportunity was there, and sure enough, he did it, and then he went to the training, the event, and like I said, now like from being broke, now he's spending money left and right, not just to waste, but for the growth of the business and his employees, his
Hmm.
team member. Um,
Nice.
and he even most recently he just paid for $190,000, uh, which is a higher tier type of partnership with 10x, and
Hmm.
there's a lot more services that come along with that. But they're at 3 million last,
That's great. So it's
la-
totally worth it. 190 for 3 mil.
I mean,
Like,
no, no,
it's
so
nothing.
no, so this actually he spent 40,000 initially. Then he spent a couple of different minor little things, 5,000 here, 5,000 there,
Hmm.
but they got to 3 million last year, and
Nice.
um, but he spent 100 like last year, which is like 2023, right? So it's just, I mean, we're
Hmm.
only in January 2024, but he spent $190,000 with Cardin Ventures, and their target goal this year in 2024 is to between $7 to $10 million. And
That's crazy.
but there's
From literally nothing to
right,
multi-mil. That's
but but
crazy.
but like I said, there's levels to it, right?
Of
You can't,
course.
if let's say for you, for example, even if you had $200,000 laying in the bank, that program itself, just because you have the 200K, it's like, hey, here's the money. You're not built to be where that is yet, but
Yeah, you still got to take the baby steps to
you have
get
to take
where it
certain
makes
levels,
sense.
right? Like to, because
Hmm.
there's different, we call it breakpoints to in a business. Right now, you're
Hmm.
under half a million, under $1 million. There's certain obstacles that you're facing within the business. that's preventing you to getting 7 figures to 1 million in revenue in 1 year. But we teach you how to get there within that first initial stages. But then when you get to that $1 million mark, all right, what's the next step to get to 2 million or 3 million and 4 million? So,
Hmm.
like I said, there are definitely levels to it, and but starting out new, like if
Hmm.
you're within your your space currently in your business, like I definitely wouldn't recommend something like that. But
Yeah,
there's definitely a lot of ways for you to get to the 7 figures, and we have it and we know it all, and that's what we teach others as well. And when we they partner, with us. But yeah,
that's dope, man. Yeah,
but
that's cool too. That with 10x, it's not like, oh, you got to be a millionaire already to get started. It's just like, hey, there, like you said, there's
yeah,
different levels to it, where depending
right,
where you're at.
right.
Um,
So there's
so you have that
different
ladder.
there's different ways, right? For you, you're the technical expert when it comes to credit funding. Like
Hmm.
that's what you help others with, right? But essentially, as you grow your business to get better, obviously you need to hire the right people, the right other coaches, right, that you're going to
Hmm.
put in your team. And then as well as a few different things, methodologies and systems to help you actually grow, right, and all of those other
Hmm.
things. But yeah, like that's what we help others as well. So that's why I truly believe in like paid mentorship and coaching program, because
Definitely.
especially if it's the right person that you're working with, right? So
Yeah, yeah. Always gotta do your due diligence on that. Make
right,
sure they have the experience. Because there are some coaches out there where they're actually, I've seen it as more that they're like the lifestyle
right,
selling the dream, but actually like don't really know what the fuck they're talking about.
yeah,
Or they might just be a part of like some sort of like white label or affiliate type
uh-huh,
of thing, but like they aren't actually trained on it. And
right,
you end up finding out like you might know more than them, and it's like, why did I pay all this money?
right,
So you got to be
right.
careful, obviously. But
Yeah,
I mean, at the end of the day, like, you have your father, you have your older siblings or whatever. There's always somebody, your teachers, your
right,
grandparents, somebody that you're learning from, whether you're paying them or not. And as an adult, a lot of people, they'll be like, "Oh, I'm doing my 9 to 5. This is my end route," even though I know I deserve more. But it's just like, dude, you're fucking 30. Like, fucking sack up, invest some fucking money into what you want to learn, so
right,
you're not in the position that you're at. Because like when I was working that 9 to 5 job, the whole time I was just like, this corporate nonsense is ridiculous to me. Like
yeah,
I get 10 days out of the year out of 365. I got to ask permission for X, Y, and Z, and like all this stuff. And I was like, I knew I'm not fucking doing this. I'm just doing this to get some bread
right.
to hold myself off. And then now that I have business credit, I'm going to go invest in it,
Love it.
in other businesses. So definitely, you just got to really take control of your destiny. Because like we talked about earlier, a millionaire is not just going to teach you shit for free. They're
Right,
going to want their time compensated for. And that's why I love like the whole coaching side of things too. Is like everybody's unique. Everybody has their own unique set of experiences, and everybody knows something.
right,
Not everybody should be a coach though. Um, it does take a lot of patience and knowledge, but
right.
for those who are willing to put that work in, it's a really great space to make some money and just monetize what you know. Because like
Yeah,
for over like a year, I was just helping people out for free, just because I was just like, I felt cool knowing that I was like, oh, I could help people out, until I was just like, all right, well, I'm not going to talk with you for like an hour every week without seeing something. Yeah.
right. Well, I mean, you know, I you're still helping people out. You're just
Yeah,
basically charging for
definitely.
your services now, right? And
Hmm.
it's okay to be a servant leader and to be a giver.
Hmm.
I provide a ton of free value to
Yeah.
people and to friends, but the ones
Hmm.
that are truly more serious are the ones who's going to really pay for that, pay for the paid coaching and all that stuff. And but certainly it's good. You were a giver, you're still a giver,
Hmm.
but now you can actually start monetizing the information and the coaching that you provide. So
Exactly. So I'm really
cool.
excited for this year, dude. It like I said, it took me 4 years to finally start seeing my money coming back from this, and I
Love it.
got quite a bit of money contracted coming down the pipe as I start getting my clients' results. Because like I said, I like to make it as no brainer as possible. Like
I
I don't
love
get
that.
paid unless they get paid.
Right.
You know, I'm like, here, just give me a lower monthly payment. It's gonna take us 30 days, let's say, to get you funded. Just pay
Yeah.
me off of that. Like, and it feels so good coming in with that confidence because like I don't take on people who are a bad fit where I think it's gonna take a long time. Like
Right.
because I don't want to work with them. I don't want to be sitting there not getting paid. But
Right.
I'll
Right.
still help them. Like, hey, here are the resources. Come back to me when you're ready, and like, here's the solution. So
Right.
I'm just super excited for 2024 and very grateful. Like, it's the first month out of the year, literally 2 weeks in, got my
Let's
first
go.
10K month with the coaching program. So very, very excited to, and I just invested into my branding and marketing. So I'm very
I love
excited
that.
for this. Um, Invested into ads, and I'm really excited to take this to the next level and, you know, be able to help more people with it, help my friends, my family, and, you know, anybody else part of the community and supporting
That's
me on my journey. So.
that's super cool, man. And likewise, if you need any business question, feel free to hit me up offline. I'm here to help you out as well. And I know you're gonna do the same for me, and
Yeah, 100%.
share each other's experiences and knowledge and all that stuff. But that's the beauty about networking as well, is you
Yeah.
get to meet, certain people that you'll build connections with, right? And
Hmm.
that's gonna help elevate your business and your growth. So um,
Exactly.
as you know, like networking is a huge piece.
Yeah, like you said, on our first podcast, you were like, uh, leverage OPN. I've always heard OPM, like as in monkey, leverage other people's
Money,
money,
yeah,
but leverage other people's networks. And you're totally
stages,
right. Like,
yep,
it sounds so corny. Your network is your net worth, but seriously, like,
100%.
you
Like,
know, if I know Jay and you know this guy who could connect me with this, like I don't have the
right,
time to go build that 5 year relationship you had with this guy, but the,
right,
the trust is like the biggest thing, and like at least like with my company, like something is what one of my old mentors taught me is just like, you know, if you want to survive in business, it's all about the relationships you build. And the way
right,
to strengthen those relationships is keeping the promises that you make to other people. And the way you do that is by under promising and over delivering. And that's like,
right,
since I started this coaching business, like I tell people 100K minimum guaranteed, but like I know for myself we could get a lot more.
yeah,
But I lowball them because I want them to be like, holy fuck, like we literally got
yeah.
double of it, you know? And so, yeah,
Um, basically, what do you call that? Over deliver, but under,
under promise, over deliver.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Under promise,
Yeah.
over deliver, right? And that's a belief that we do as well. That's why when we say, "Hey, you work with us," you'll see an increase as long as you follow the steps that we teach. You'll get an increase of 30 to 50% on average, which is the
But you
average,
know
right?
it's going to be more.
Well, there's going to be the ones that are like truly applying, that what they learn and duplicate it and multiply it 10x. Those are the ones that really see a huge like growth in their revenue. So, but yeah,
Hmm.
same thing. So very very cool, man. Well, that being said, man, now that you have this coaching program, what like how much more are you going to invest into like networking events? Because I feel like, like for example, WealthCon, just a lot of real estate investors,
Yeah.
new ones there. I feel like my recommendation for you is, make it a habit to get, continue to coming back into WealthCon and be
Yeah,
intentional of
definitely.
meeting people, um,
Hmm.
and all that stuff.
Yeah. That's definitely kind of on the docket for this year. And that's partly why I moved out from California to Indianapolis is like
Hmm.
I'm doing flips here, but I also kind of wanted to get away from my normal life. I wanted
Mm.
to kind of like
The party
essentially kind of
scene,
like yeah, exactly,
yeah,
kind of check myself into rehab out here. Not literally, but like, you know, get away from like the partying, and just be more focused on like what I'm doing and like the
yeah,
only people I want to hang out with are those who truly align to like that mindset,
right,
that ambition. Because I have my friends back home and I love them to death and they'll always be there. But in this point in my life, I know what I want and I'm not willing, I don't need more friends. You know, I
right,
already know with the path I'm going on. And if you don't align on that,
right.
and you can't provide me value or like, you know, we could help each other out in some sort of way, like I don't have time for it.
No, it's
Um,
you already know, right? You did say your network is your net worth, and you are the average of or you're the sum of the five people you surround yourself with.
exactly,
You're right, and
exactly.
And yeah, absolutely, man. I definitely see. I mean, I also recommend because I do the same thing. I go to these events, meet high level individuals like yourself and
That's where we
people.
met. That's where we met at Ryan Pineda's WealthCon. So
Right,
it's
right,
great after like 2 years, still being able to chat. Like
exactly.
it, like those events. That was like the second event I've ever gone to,
Yeah.
and it's fucking dope, dude. Like people
No,
think it's so
absolutely.
like nerdy to go to that type of stuff. I'm like, dude, these are the people I want to surround myself with.
Right.
I will pay thousands of dollars to
And
be
not
around
only
other
that,
people like that.
yeah, not only
Yeah,
that, you'll find your clients there as well. Like
exactly.
I've found clients at 10x events,
Hmm.
at WealthCon. You know what I mean? That people,
Hmm.
and then I'm intentional about that, but I'm also intentional about meeting the right people, right business leaders, owners, and
Hmm.
entrepreneurs.
Hmm.
So yeah, certainly something that I would highly recommend you to start getting back into the groove of things, and putting some money into to networking funds. I guess like
Yeah,
it's gonna help.
definitely. Like all the 10K I made this month, too. Like I that's all one going to paybacks the stuff, the
Nice.
0% business credit I used to start the coaching program, and
That's
to
awesome.
reinvest back into
Yeah,
like coaching
continuing. Yep.
and marketing. So I'm not paying myself out for a minute just because I know there's so much potential in this,
I
and I
love that.
know being able to build out this portfolio, helping others build out their portfolio through funding is, there's going to be a lot of opportunity. And
Yeah.
like I said, I'm so excited for 2024. Like,
Let's go,
yeah,
man. It's
yeah,
it's
let's make some shit happen, buddy.
yeah. So let's talk about it. We're getting to the hour because it's been fun conversating with you. What
Yeah,
is your
dude, totally.
what is your revenue target this year? If you don't mind me asking. And sometimes I like to ask people this because you're putting it out there for the universe to hear.
Hmm.
So is it 500,000 your first year in business, or you trying to go for, less or higher?
Honestly, I'm and I'm I'm very well aware of this. I'm kind of like I'm thinking small right now, just because before this, like I was just like, damn, like it would be so cool to hit 10K a month, and now that I finally got there, now I'm like, okay, let's honestly, if I can make 25 or what, not if, when I make 25K a month, for me, that's only what, three, four more. I need to close three or
Right.
four clients a
Hmm.
month, or I mean, not even like because a lot of the money can come at one time since people
Right.
are paying me a lower monthly payment up front and then
Right.
the rest after I get them funding. So yeah, that 25K a month is totally within my range.
So
Um,
doable. So
yeah,
doable.
so doable. That's double of what I'm currently making, and if I could just keep doing that over and over again, I'm very excited. I'm very confident, at least by Q2 of this year, if I'm already hitting 10K a month on my first month of the year, I'm very confident by April, 25K in 1 month isn't going to be out of the picture for what
Right.
I could do.
Well, once
Yeah,
you hit that target, the 10K, all right, the next one is like, okay, how can I duplicate this now? Well, 20K and then 25K. And then from there, once you hit 25K, and you're like, all right, how can I hit 50K? Then you're going to
hmm,
hit 50K and you're like, oh, how can I get 100K a month? Right.
hmm,
And
exactly.
so if you make 80,000 a month, that would put you in seven figures uh,
Yeah,
in
that's
earnings.
crazy.
And so
That
it's
is crazy.
and it's doable. It's certainly
Yeah,
doable for you to get there, bro. So um, that's what we teach people. There's going to be different level steps and everything else, and it may sound crazy, but at once, trust me, once you hit the certain targets, you're like, all right, well, how can we get to the next one, and so on and so forth. So
yeah,
ultimately, I mean, that would be cool if you can get 80 to 100K consistently every month. It's much doable. There's so many people in the United States, Canada, UK, and around the world that make that money. But once they
yeah,
figure out that mindset shift and the art of duplication, that's how you get there. So,
yeah, definitely.
all right. Well, I mean, it's been great, Miguel. I know you and I are both busy individuals. We've definitely hit our target. We've covered so many great values today that the people that are watching hopefully we'll pick up and learn. And
Yeah.
for the ones who wants to know more about credit, funding, with whether you're a real estate investor or you're starting out a new business entrepreneurship journey, you hit up my guy Miguel. I will tag him into his YouTube channel as well as his Facebook and Instagram. And if you need somebody to help you with scaling your business, earning more revenue, that's where I can come in, because
Hell yeah.
uh, not only I have the knowledge and experience and actually attain the things I help, I'm actually teaching you what my business mentor Grant Cardone and Brandon Dawson have done
Hmm.
to become multi nine figure business owners and a billionaire with Uncle G. So if you guys
Hell
like this
yeah.
video, please like, subscribe, comment below, and please also follow us both for more value add knowledge and training that you're going to get from us. Other than that, Miguel, thanks so much, bro, and I wish you all the best, and we'll talk again offline, brother. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Peace out, guys. Thank you.
Peace.